Welcome back. And if you tuned in late, we are talking about the drug addiction problem, which is all over the nation. We certainly have it here, and about what can be done to help, and parents need to be aware, and nobody is exempt from it. And it isn't all illegal drugs. Some of it is prescription medications, and it gets people hooked, and it's a terrible thing. Winn Freeman is here, and Winn founded the Wisdom in Living Life Ministry. Okay. And we have a website and a phone number. And then Sandra Stroud is here, and she is a board member. Now, you had land donated to you outside of Travelers Rest, South Carolina, right?
God has blessed us with 45 acres. And a lot of people, I want people to know that's not my property. That's God's property. And we need to come together. We need to cross the lines. We need to come together. We need to give people Jesus and all the help He offers to change not just our drug problem, but take our whole life and change it.
And then you have a couple of buildings out there, and you have these coaching, you call it.
Well, I don't like to counsel people, yeah, but we have our classes at our training center, which is 12408 Old White Horse Road, 12408 Old White Horse Road, and that's where we have our classes at. But we have the property. God has blessed us with some buildings. Architectural work's been done. We're debt-free.
It's a miraculous story, because you yourself were a drug addict.
I was.
And in prison at one point.
And the judge wrote me a letter, said he was glad I just got out of California. He wrote me a letter about our ministry out here. It was fascinating to see that people see that change. And it's not about me, it's about God. And when people think about addiction, they think it's about them. It's not. We mentioned about our students, we're training people. We've got people who've been training for years. When it comes time, these people are trained to know how to deal with this, because the drugs, when you come to really understand it, is really a symptom of a much deeper problem. And all the secular stuff you're going to, you're always going to go out of there the same way you went in, sick and on medication. If not that, you'll be sitting in the same room the rest of your life talking about it. I don't do any of that stuff. My students aren't taught that. We're taught we're new people, and we're giving people hope and purpose, and I think that's what we're all searching for.
And these are people in all levels of society, all walks of life. They can be businessmen, they can be high school teenagers. Mostly it's men that you work with, or do you have women?
Well, in our classes, again, we have two different things. In our classes through the week, we deal with adults, male or female.
17 and over.
17 and over. And that's our residential training. That's where we train people. But with this property, what God has put in my heart to do, and I'm hoping everybody will jump up around us and hold my arms up and help us do this. But the most age we have the problem with is ages 17 to 25. That's an area that no one's addressing, and if they ever get past that age, that's where they start, and usually that's where they just stay at. And we need to reach that age. So my goal, I believe God's in it, is we want a residential training center. We want to have Wisdom's Ranch and Retreat. Wisdom Ranch and Retreat, and want that to be focused primarily on 17 to 25-year-old men. Okay. And after that's done, I had someone say, why didn't you start with women first? And I said, women are too complicated. Well. I've worked with men before, so let's start there, But we do plan on working with the whole family, and it's just a matter. When you look at what we have, God's given it all to us. Everything, the property, the engineers, the planning.
You do not, these classes that you have on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday nights, they're free.
Right, 7, and the class starts at 7, it's over at 8:15.
Anybody who has a problem, or maybe you have a child you're worried about, you're welcome.
Yeah, and you'll see some other people that bottom line, a lot of people have been lied to. They bought into a lie, and it's not what it is. And we've forgotten about our nation. I think it is still a Christian nation in some ways, but the reality is we get back to what God teaches us, and we're just teaching people the Bible.
Now you have seen people's lives change, and you are a living testimony with your own daughter.
Yes.
And your daughter was an innocent. I mean, she wasn't out doing drugs.
No,
she had an illness, and the doctor prescribed this, and then
it just took over, and then it's just a sad story, but I've seen lives changed by going to the meetings too. I've talked to people whose lives have been changed, and it's just so heartwarming and so wonderful to know, and those people out there need to know there is hope. There is hope, and through Jesus
Because
Christ.
people who are addicted think that there is no end, there's no freedom, there's no way to get off of it.
They feel hopeless. My daughter expressed that for so long she felt so hopeless. She said it wasn't depression, it was just like despair, you know, and so it's like a deep, dark pit that you're in. But there's a way out.
She had to have that drug.
Yeah, it's like she had to have that drug. I mean, it was just an addiction. And so, but she has overcome that, and now she's already helping people, you know, in being incarcerated. She's already helping people, and she has a beautiful voice. She sings, you know, and she tries to help those she can where she is. So when she gets out, she wants to help others.
What does the medical, I once had a doctor, I heard him say that if a patient comes to him for treatment and he doesn't give them a prescription, they feel that they haven't been treated. And that puts the doctor in a bad spot as well.
It does. I mean, Loratab, it was her drug, and you know those are prescribed a lot.
I don't know, is that a painkiller?
It's a painkiller. It's a painkiller. She had a back injury, and it was really severe. So she took them, and then she took more and more, you know, and it just mushroomed. And but thank God she found the way, and the way is Christ Jesus.
Yeah,
and she doesn't take anything anymore.
No, she is absolutely drug-free, and God's even healed her back. You know, she is just a totally different person, and she'll tell you now she does not know who that person was. You know, so she's
so you have
totally
seen
healed.
People's lives dramatically change.
Yeah, I can line you up 10 or 12 people.
Now, for Winn, I know people are out there thinking, all right, if you come to something like a Monday night or a Tuesday night, you're exposed. In other words,
our people are
everybody,
taught, yeah.
and they'll say, oh, so-and-so was out here. He's a businessman. He's a successful man, and here he comes to these meetings. Do you keep this information private and confidential?
Even amongst our group there, you know, in order for people to, I don't like our classes. We have classes and apply them as students. But when they come in, we cover that. It's very important that we all know that we can talk about anything in here. It should stay here amongst us. And as the person decides themselves, they want to say something. You know, you have to have that confidentiality.
But that is kept.
But the thing that we see, my experience has been this, the key to success is working with people who want to be worked with. The key to success, if you ask someone to fall on their tail and start scooting, literally, that they'll start doing it. If you hear, well, I got to do this first, or I got to do that first, I need to do this, they're not ready. And that's why many of these places don't work. Number one, I only put my time and effort into people who want to be worked with. Because there's going to be a requirement on me, there needs to be one on them. They got to want the knowledge and change. And again, it's got to go beyond education. It's the issue of the heart. People think you're crazy when you talk about Jesus. People think you're nuts when you talk about him. But the reality is, he says, with him in my life, I can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens me. I can't let the secular world put that stuff in my head that's not true. They told me all that. You know, when they told me I had a 3% chance of succeeding, it's institutionalized. But when I came to know the Lord back to that sheriff's car, my world began to change. And it still has changed, but the drugs are gone. And I've taught many men over the years and women over the years, this is what the Bible teaches. And you don't have to keep living like that. And if someone wants to come out, I'll take time to talk with them. I'll share this with them. But if everything they've tried, if it's not working, they need to brighten up pretty quick and say, hey, keep doing the same thing, and it's going to change for you. And if you're out there right now and God's talking to you, and your heart's been tugged on by something I'm looking for now, I'm looking for some hope. I'm looking for my life to change. I'm telling you, that I don't care what anybody else says, the Bible is full of great wisdom, and it teaches people how to live. And those lives, you want to see some change in life, come out to one of my places. Call me. I'll sit down, talk with you. If you got someone out there looking for help, ask them to give me 15 minutes to talk with them. If they're serious, their life will begin to change. And we're training people. Just like she said with her daughter. Angie came to me before she got incarcerated because she realized that she wouldn't do anything to get locked up, and then something came up from the past. My goal was to bring her on as an intern. who's better to go back to your church than somebody who's been there and done it and ain't doing it no more?
The churches really don't have the training or the knowledge to deal with this, do they?
No, they have the paperwork on their name, going to school and stuff. And but the reality is, the reality is, you just got to ask yourself, were people's lives being changed? Because it's not, God doesn't just bring you along to maintain and teach you maintenance. He wants you to have that new life. You know, I've got a great life. I've got great children. You know, do I still have hard times? Sure. Jesus said you'll have a lot of trouble in this world. You know, but He says I've overcome the world. But I want to challenge people. It's so simple. If you could just get where you're at with God, and just talk out loud. It sounds so simple, but you don't need treatment. I mean, maybe when you first got cleaned up, it's good to get detox. But when that thing's over with, it's over with. And I can bring 15, 20 people in the county council any day I wanted. And I'll bring people in there who went through all the secular stuff. It never worked for them. And they've got families, they've got children, they're going to their churches, they're teaching at our place, they're got prison ministries. You can't look at me and tell me that what I know, who I know, was what taught me, what changed me.
And of course, you were, I've seen pictures of you.
Right.
You were a pretty rough-looking character.
Yeah, well, and that's what happens. And I just want to encourage those moms out there, especially. I'm a mama's boy. My mom went to be with the Lord a few years ago, and my mom used to always say to me, son, always remember that God's going before you. He's making a way where there seems to be none. And through all the hard times, I got to remember, you got to remember that God says I'm going before you, and I'm making a way where there seems to be no way at all. And when you come to that place in your life, and you ain't got nowhere else to go but God, He's there. But you got to come to that place where it says, I'm tired of living like I'm living. I'm tired of doing the things that I'm doing. God, I really need your help. It's just simple. We actually are just focused on discipleship.
This little card that Winn gave me, it says, where addiction ends and life begins. And on the front of this card is a picture of Winn way back when, and he looks pretty rough. And here he is with his wife and his transformed life. And it is in Traveler's Rest. It is free. You can call. And of course, you have wonderful people.
Right.
Like Sandra Stroud, who is on the board and has experienced in her own family the tragedy. So there is hope, there is life, and thanks to people like both of you. Thank you for coming today and giving us your time. God bless you.
You did.
My pleasure.
Good luck to you and your daughter. That's
Thank you so
wonderful.
much. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.